China didn't just roll out a digital currency. It activated a $1.2 trillion financial weapon, a silent, precision-built infrastructure not designed to compete within the current system, but to replace it. While much of the world remains tangled in the spaghetti wires of SWIFT and dollar clearances, Beijing has spent the past decade quietly cutting the cord. Not with grand declarations or confrontations, but with code, protocols, bilateral pacts, and programmable logic that is already settling cross-border transactions across over 200 countries and regions. According to the People's Bank of China, this architecture has already processed more than 1.8 trillion yuan, around 250 billion, in pilot transactions as of Q1 2025. And this isn't about scaling volume, it's about shifting power. Sovereignty, once defined by flags and borders, is now being redefined by who controls the pipes through which money flows. By embedding the e-CNY, the digital yuan, into trade corridors, supply chains, and even central bank digital currency, CBDC networks, China isn't just joining the global financial order. It's rewriting it from the inside out. This isn't just another fintech rollout. As Martin Chorzempa of the Peterson Institute put it, this is the first state-run system with the potential to rival the global SWIFT IBAN architecture. In 1944, the dollar emerged as king from Bretton Woods. In 2025, China is quietly, systematically, and possibly irrevocably challenging that crown, not with force, with programmable money and bilateral swap lines. And if this is China's monetary Manhattan Project, then we are only seeing the surface. The next phase could show just how far its ambitions reach. Since 2015, China has signed over 41 bilateral currency swap agreements, totaling roughly $580 billion. This decentralized mesh allows direct RMB trade, eliminating the need for dollar-clearing banks. By late 2024, a staggering 38% of China's total trade is already being conducted outside of SWIFT, flowing instead through China's cross-border Interbank payment system, CIPS, which now links over 1,400 financial institutions in more than 110 countries. In simple terms, oil tankers from Saudi Arabia no longer need to route payments through New York. Those funds can now clear in yuan, almost instantly. No dollar, no delay. No oversight from the US. SWIFT, still handling around 40 million messages a day, remains dominant. But its grip is slipping, particularly in the global south. While the West debated inflation and interest rates, China built a parallel nervous system for the world's money, one that it alone controls. And make no mistake, this quiet revolution is already altering how countries behave. This isn't theoretical, it's real. In March 2024, Kenya bought oil from the UAE using yuan, bypassing the dollar entirely. Argentina, after draining its dollar reserves, repaid part of its IMF loan in yuan. SWIFT's own RMB tracker shows that the yuan's share in global payments tripled in just 2 years, from 1.9% to 6% by February 2025. This isn't de-dollarization out of ideology. It's de-dollarization out of necessity. When the dollar becomes a weapon, when sanctions are tied to SWIFT access or correspondent banking, nations start to hedge. They aren't ditching the dollar, they're insuring themselves against it. The digital yuan offers an escape route, a programmable, sovereign-aligned platform with no dependence on Western banks. No correspondent chains, no compliance traps, just direct settlement and direct Chinese oversight. But is this true decentralization? Or is it simply recentralization under Beijing's digital empire? That question is being tested now. In Indonesia, where e-CNY wallets using QR codes are being adopted by small and mid-sized businesses to bypass dollar conversion delays. In Malaysia, where the central bank has linked its fast payment system directly with China's, a first for the region. Across ASEAN, where over 33% of China's regional trade is now settled in non-dollar currencies. This is not just a shift in tools, it's a redefinition of financial norms. As Alicia Garcia Herrero, chief economist at Natixis, put it, China isn't just exporting goods anymore. It's exporting rules and embedding dependency into the very architecture of money movement. When your economy runs on Chinese rails, your autonomy becomes conditional. And if China controls the rails, what happens when it wants to control the routes? CIPS now processes over $83 billion in daily average volume. Not experimental, operational, programmable, potentially unilateral. And while that sounds efficient, it also opens a chilling question. Who holds the kill switch? In late 2023, a test between Hong Kong and the UAE showed how far this system has evolved. Trade invoices settled in seconds, costs slashed by 98%, according to the Bank for International Settlements. And unlike SWIFT, which merely transmits messages, the digital yuan system executes real-time value transfer. No third-party clearing, no FX delays, and no waiting. As Josh Lipsky of the Atlantic Council puts it, China isn't just building a faster rail line. It's removing the ticket booths and owning the stations. Since Russia was cut off from SWIFT in 2022, CIPS volume has surged more than 90%, mirroring a global pivot. China has since expanded digital yuan swap lines with Brazil, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia, all nations facing dollar constraints. And even America's allies, like Indonesia, the UAE, and Egypt, are now running test transactions in yuan. The more the US turns the dollar into a compliance weapon, the more attractive China's rails become, warns Eswar Prasad. And here's the contradiction. Washington's tools of financial power are accelerating the very systems designed to bypass them. If sanctions breed innovation, the next breakthrough in global finance may not come from Wall Street. It may come from Shanghai or Shenzhen. The Belt and Road Initiative has deployed over $1.1 trillion into infrastructure across 148 countries. But what binds this network now isn't just concrete or cables. It's currency control. e-CNY is increasingly being used in projects from Kenya's Mombasa port to Pakistan's Gwadar terminal to the Laos high-speed rail, where payments are settled via digital yuan wallets issued and monitored by the PBOC. Bloomberg confirms at least 13 Belt and Road nations are piloting yuan-based digital settlements. Some are now integrating e-CNY into smart contract-enabled sovereign debt tools, where repayment flows are programmable and recallable. This isn't just finance. It's alignment, automated and enforced. As Garcia Herrero says, the advantage for China is clear. It doesn't just lend the money. It controls how it's spent, where it flows, and how to take it back. So the question becomes, is this infrastructure or digital colonization? At the 2024 BRICS Summit in Johannesburg, members agreed to develop a cross-border payment framework using national CBDCs, with China's digital yuan leading the charge. 4 central banks are already running cross-border pilots, and SWIFT's own data shows yuan usage now surpassing the euro in parts of the global south. This isn't de-dollarization by destruction. It's fragmentation by design. And as BRICS nations like Brazil and Russia push for a shared settlement platform by 2026, the dollar's role is no longer assured. It's contested. But in this multi-rail future, who governs the intersections? In January 2025, Donald Trump's new trade war landed with a thud, a 60% blanket tariff on all Chinese imports. But China didn't retaliate with tit-for-tat duties. Instead, it accelerated e-CNY integration into its export financing system. According to a Q1 2025 report from China Securities Journal, digital yuan usage in trade settlements rose by 19.3% year-over-year. State banks began offering exporters e-CNY trade credits at lower interest than dollar loans. Letters of credit denominated in yuan are now up to 40 basis points cheaper than dollar equivalents in key markets. The message is clear. China's not trying to win a tariff battle. It's building a monetary firewall, one that the US may no longer be able to breach. This is not a trade dispute anymore. It's a race to build the next global financial operating system. The dollar isn't vanishing, but its role as the gatekeeper of global commerce is being rewritten, not by lobbyists or legislatures, but by algorithms and architecture. While Washington debates tariffs, China is laying rails, embedding them into infrastructure, wrapping them into trade pacts, distributing them through wallets backed by central banks. And this isn't just about speed or savings. It's about control, programmable disbursement, real-time surveillance, the ability to turn off the tap if a country strays too far from Beijing's favor. So here's the question that matters. When the next crisis hits and liquidity is needed fast, but it doesn't come from Washington, will the world accept Beijing's terms instead? Because China isn't preparing for the next financial war. It's preparing to win it before it starts.